Hi, my name's Mick West of Metabung.org, and today we're going to have a look at orgonite. This is orgonite. Orgonite is a mixture of resin and some metal shavings and some little various other things, crushed crystals, bits of copper, things like that. Orgonite is supposed to generate or gather orgone energy, which is a kind of theoretical fundamental life force of the universe, like the ancient concepts of ki or prana. So it's a kind of a modern crystal type thing. You can focus this mystical energy with it. This one here is a orgone tower buster. It's supposed to be used for nullifying the effects of radiation from cell phone towers. You would take one of these and put it at the base of a cell phone tower, and it would help the negative vibes. And it specifically lists EMF waves here as being something it can transmute and protect you against. And you see a lot of videos on the internet of people using a meter like this one and seeing if this orgonite will block the radiation. So let me turn this on here. Now, I've got this pointing at my Wi-Fi router here, and so the question is, if I put this orgonite in between the meter and the router, will the orgonite block it? Yes, it does. It goes down to 0. Now, if we're going to be scientific about this, we need to do multiple tests. We also need to test it against something else to make sure it's not just something that anything will do. And we also want to test it against nothing to make sure that if you do nothing, the same thing won't happen. Now, multiple tests, very easy to do. Obviously, every time you do it, you stick the orgonite in there, and it blocks whatever this meter is reading, which supposedly is electromagnetic radiation. So we test against something else. I'm going to take 4 different things. I'm going to take this tape measure, stick that in there. Did pretty much the same thing, down to 1. I'm going to take these doggy bags made of plastic, stick that in there, down to 0. And I'm going to take this very large piece of metal, stick that in there, down to 0. I'm going to take this piece of wood, stick that in there. Not quite as good as the metal, but pretty much down to 0.003 there. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, I said we've got to test against something else, and I tested against things like this tape measure, and the tape measure did the same thing as the orgonite, went down to 0. But I also said we've got to test against nothing. What does that mean? Like if I'm testing here, here's something, here's nothing, here's something, here's nothing. Well, it's not, because what I'm doing here is I'm moving my hand in with the orgonite, and if I really want to do nothing, I need to test against the nothingness, so I need to put my hand in. And you see exactly the same thing happened. It went down to 0. In fact, I just need to stick my thumb in there and it's down to 0. So what happens if I put the orgonite in without my hand? Stick it there, let it go. It seems to be doing nothing. In fact, the reading here, 580, is a bit higher than it is without the orgonite. So if anything, the orgonite is making it worse. Let me try that with the tape measure. See, we got around 500 and something there, 514, 520. Stick this in, goes down to 0 because my hand's in there. Take this away, it's about 575, which is about 40, well, it's about 60 higher than it was before. So sticking things in between the Wi-Fi router and the detector is actually making it worse. What if I tried that with the wood? Let it settle down, 520, stick it in because my thumb's in there, it's gone right down, remove that. And that went up a little bit, but not as much as the other thing. So it seems like whatever you stick in there, it's if it's your hand, it's going to block it. If it's just some object by itself, nothing's going to happen. So what's going on here? Well, best demonstrated with this big chunk of metal. That is not blocking anything, obviously, but if I touch it, goes down to 0. What's happening? I'm just grounding it, and the grounded object, with my body being essentially a large sink for electromagnetic radiation, it is blocking it. but only when it's grounded. And the same thing happens. This doesn't actually happen with this because this isn't really a very good conductor. If I touch it, makes a little bit of difference, but not very much at all really. Works a lot better with the metal. So this demonstrates that the orgonite is not blocking electromagnetic radiation any more than any other object would.